How do you hire a virtual assistant that actually works out? Because let's be honest, a lot of them don't. You've probably heard the horror stories. Maybe you have one of your own. You hire someone, it starts great, and within a few weeks, it's falling apart. They are asking a million questions. You are spending more time explaining than doing. Things are slipping through the cracks. And eventually you just take it all back and think, I'll just do it myself. Sound familiar? Today I'm going to tell you exactly how to hire a virtual assistant that actually works out. Not in theory, in practice. Because I've placed hundreds of executive assistants with CEO parents, and I've seen what works and what doesn't. The patterns are clear, and most of them have nothing to do with skills or experience. I'm Lauren Apple, and I help CEO parents build businesses that give them profit and presence. Let's get into it. First, let me tell you the biggest mistake people make when hiring. They hire for skills. They look at the resume. Can this person use Asana? Do they know Google Workspace? Have they done social media management before? Do they have experience in my industry? Skills matter. They really do. I'm not saying they don't, but they are not the thing that makes or breaks a hire. The thing that makes or breaks a hire is alignment. And I mean two kinds of alignment: values alignment and personality alignment. Let me break down both of them for you. Values alignment is about what matters. What's important to you and how you run your business, how you live your life. What are your non-negotiables? What do you believe about work, about life, about how things should be done? Here's an example. Let's say you value responsiveness. You believe clients should hear back within 24 hours always. That's not just a preference, it's a core value. If you hire someone who thinks, I'll get to it when I get to it, that's a values mismatch. They might have great skills, but they're going to frustrate you constantly because they don't value the same things you do. Here's another example. Let's say you value boundaries. You close your laptop at 4 p.m. You don't work weekends. That's a non-negotiable, okay? That's me, amen. If you hire someone who thinks hustle culture is the answer, someone who sends emails at 10 p.m. and expects you to respond immediately, that's a values mismatch. They might be incredibly skilled. They might get a lot of work done, but they're gonna push against your boundaries instead of protecting them. They might schedule a call at 4:30 because the client pushed back and asked nicely. They don't understand why you'd say no to a call because they don't share your values around boundaries. Or let's say you value simplicity. You want things streamlined, efficient, minimal. If you hire someone who loves complexity, who wants to add 10 steps to every single process and 17 integrations to every system, that's a mismatch. They might be talented. They might be extremely skilled, but they're gonna overcomplicate everything you're trying to simplify. Values alignment means this person fundamentally believes in the same things you believe in. Not just tolerates them, believes in them. There's a huge difference between an EA who respects your 4 p.m. boundary because you told them to, and an EA who protects your 4 p.m. boundary because they think it matters. The first one will let things slip when you're not watching. The second one will guard it like it's their own. You want the second one. Now let's talk about personality alignment. This is another alignment we look at in our hiring process. It's different from values. This is about how someone shows up. Their natural energy, their natural strengths, their God-given talents, their working style, their communication preferences. And this isn't just a gut feel. It's not just a personality characteristic. This is something you can actually assess. And so when I match EAs with clients, we look at personality assessments. We actually take ones like DISC or Working Genius or Colby or MBTI. Let me explain what each of these tells us and why it matters. DISC tells us about communication and behavior style. And are you a high D, direct, decisive, driven? That's a lot of CEOs. Or are you a high I, influential, enthusiastic, people-oriented? Most CEOs are in the ID combination, DI combination. Are you a high S, steady, supportive, patient? Are you a high C, conscientious, analytical, detailed, focused? None of these are better than another, but they work together differently. If you're a high D, fast-paced, direct, wants things done yesterday, okay, that's me, and you hire a high S who needs time to process and doesn't like to be rushed, you are going to clash. You'll feel like they're too slow. They'll feel like you're steamrolling them. Neither of you is wrong, you're just mismatched. On the other hand, a high D and a high C can be magical. You drive the vision, they handle the details. You make fast decisions. They make sure nothing falls through the cracks. Complementary, not conflicting. DISC helps us understand how someone communicates and how they prefer to be communicated with. Then there's the working genius. If you've never heard of working genius before, this one is actually about what energizes people versus what drains them. There are 6 types of working genius. Wonder, the ability to question and ponder. Invention, the ability to create and innovate. Discernment, the ability to evaluate and assess. Galvanizing, the ability to rally and inspire. Enablement, the ability to support and help. Tenacity, the ability to push through and finish. Everyone has 2 areas of genius, work that gives them energy, it energizes them. 2 areas of competency, work that they can do, but it doesn't necessarily light them up or give them energy nor drain their energy. And 2 areas of frustration, work that drains them. Here's why this matters for hiring. If you hire an EA whose genius is invention and wonder, they're gonna be great at coming up with ideas, asking big questions. But if you need someone whose genius is tenacity and enablement, someone who will push tasks to completion and support you in getting things done, that's a mismatch. They might be amazing, just not what you need. And they'll burn out doing work that drains them. You want to hire someone who is working in the genius that aligns with the work you're asking them to do. Then there's Colby. Colby measures how someone takes action. Not their personality, not their skills, their instinctive way of getting things done. There are 4 action modes. Fact finder, how someone gathers information. Follow through, how someone organizes. Quick start, how someone deals with risk and innovation. Implementer, how someone handles physical space and tangible things they can put their hands on. Here's a real example. Let's say you are a high quick start. That's me. I am a 9 in quick start out of 10. You love new ideas, you pivot fast, you start things quickly. If you hire an EA who's low in quick start, someone who needs lots of research and certainty before taking action, they're gonna feel whiplash every time you change direction. And you're gonna feel like they're slowing you down, slowing your progress down. But if you hire someone who's a high follow through when you're a low follow through, that's me, that's complementary. You start things, they systematize them. You have the ideas, they have the ability to bring the ideas to fruition, to create the processes. That's a powerful match. Colby helps us understand how someone will actually do the work we're asking them to do. So when I'm matching an EA with a client, I'm looking at all of this. What's their DISC profile and does it work with the clients? What's their working genius and does it match the work that the client needs done? What's their Colby and does it complement how you operate? This is why 2 EAs with identical resumes can have completely different outcomes with the same client. Skills are the same, alignment is different. Here's the bottom line. You can teach someone a new software in a week, right? You can train someone on your systems in a month. You can show someone how you like things done, but you cannot train someone to care about what you care about. You cannot train someone to have different natural strengths and energies. You cannot fundamentally change someone's personality or instinctive way of working. So hire for alignment first, skills second. So step one in hiring a VA that actually works out is get crystal clear on your values and your style before you hire. What matters most to you? What are your non-negotiables in your business and life? How do you like to communicate? What are your strengths and where do you need someone to complement you? If you've never taken DISC or Working Genius or Colby, consider doing that. Understand yourself first. Then you'll know what to look for in someone else. Step two, define outcomes, not tasks. This is something I've talked about in a previous video, but it's so important, I'm gonna say it again. Most people hire a VA and hand them a task list. Check my email, schedule my calls, post on social media, send invoices. These are tasks. And when you delegate tasks, you create dependency. Sometimes we like to be dependent, people to be dependent on us, right? To need us, to want us. Here's what happens though. Your VA finishes the task and comes back to you. What should I do next? How do you want me to handle this? Is this right? Can you check this? Is there another project you have for me? You become the bottleneck. You're not actually getting your time back. Instead, you're just trading doing the work for managing someone doing the work. Instead, you need to delegate outcomes. I want my inbox to feel calm. That means I only see messages that actually require my response. Everything else is handled, filed, or scheduled. Now your EA knows what success looks like. They can figure out how to make that happen. They can create systems, make judgment calls, handle things without asking you every single time. I want my calendar protected. That means no calls before 9 a.m., no calls after 3 p.m., and Friday afternoons are completely blocked. Your job is to protect these boundaries no matter who asks. Now your EA isn't just scheduling, they're becoming your protection. They're protecting what matters to you. They'll push back on the client who wants a 4:30 call. They'll find creative solutions when your calendar is packed full because they know the outcome they're responsible for and they're taking ownership of it. I want clients to feel taken care of. That means every inquiry gets a response within 24 hours, even if it's just an acknowledgement. Now your EA can own that. They don't need to ask you what to say every time. They don't need to ask you to approve drafted emails. They know the outcome and they make it happen. When you delegate outcomes, your VA can think for themselves. They can problem solve. They can be a partner, not a task doer. So step two is get crystal clear on what outcomes you want before you hire. Most people fail on this. What does good look like? What does success look like in 30 days, in 60 days, in 90 days? If you can't articulate it, then you're not ready to hire. And step three is create the foundation first. I know I sound like a broken record on this, but I've seen it so many times before. Hires fail because people skip this step. They cannot delegate chaos. If everything lives in your head, your VA, your EA can't succeed. If you have no documented processes, your VA can't succeed. If you don't have boundaries around your time, your VA can't protect what doesn't exist. Before you hire, you need at minimum, are you ready for this? At minimum, you need some documented processes. Not everything. You don't need a 50-page operations manual, but the key stuff, the things that happen regularly. How do you onboard a client? How do you handle inquiries? What's your invoicing process? Get it out of your head and into documentation. At bare minimum, a Loom video walkthrough. Clear boundaries about your time and availability. When are you available? When are you not? What's urgent? What can wait? How quickly should clients expect responses? Your VA can't protect what they don't know to protect. They can't protect boundaries that don't exist. An understanding of what you're handing off and why. Not just here's a list of tasks, but instead here's what I want you to own and here's why it matters. Templates for the things that happen repeatedly. Those emails you write over and over again. Those client responses, those follow-ups. Create templates so your VA isn't starting from scratch. If you don't have these things, you are not ready to hire. You're just not ready. You're ready to build the foundation and then hire. This is why so many VA hires fail within the first 90 days. People hire in desperation. They're drowning. They're chaotic. They need help right now, but they skip the foundation work. They throw someone into the chaos and then they wonder why it doesn't work. The VA walked into chaos. They had nothing to plug into. They were set up to fail before they even started. And step 4, start smaller than you think. When you're drowning, your brain tells you, I need someone 40 hours a week immediately. Resist that urge. Start with 10 to 15 hours a week. I always recommend 10 at minimum so people can really get to know you and your business quicker, have a quicker onboarding period. Start with 1 or 2 areas of responsibility. Maybe just inbox and calendar, or just client communication. Get that working. Build the trust. Build your rhythm, build your cadence, learn how to work together with an EA, then expand. A hire that starts small and grows is 10 times more successful than a hire that starts big and overwhelms everyone. Here's why. You need time to train. Even with documentation, there's a learning curve. Learning curve for you and a learning curve for them. They need to learn your voice, your preferences, the way you communicate, the nuances of how you do things. They need time to learn. Your business is unique. They've never worked with someone like you before. Even if they have tons of experience in your industry, they've never worked in your business. They need to understand your clients, your offers, your way of doing things. You both need time to build the relationships, the camaraderie, right? Trust doesn't happen overnight. You need to learn how to communicate with each other, how to give feedback, how to work as a team. That doesn't happen in week 1 when they're trying to manage your entire life. Start small, grow intentionally. And step 5, hire for thinking, not just doing. Most people hire a VA to do tasks, but what you actually want is someone who can think, be proactive, someone who can anticipate what you need, someone who can solve problems without asking you every single time, someone who can look at your calendar and say, you have 3 calls back to back on Tuesday, I'm gonna add buffer time in without you even asking for it. That's not a task doer, that's a thinking partner. When I'm vetting EAs for my direct to hire placements, I don't just ask, can you do this? I ask, what would you do in this situation? I give them scenarios. The CEO has a client who wants to schedule a call at 4:30 p.m., but the CEO has a hard stop at 4 p.m. What do you do? I want to hear them think. I want to know they'll protect the boundary, not just do whatever the client asks. A client emails upset about something. The CEO is in back-to-back calls for the next 3 hours. What do you do? I want to see problem solving. I want to see judgment. I want to see someone who can handle things, not just flag them. Hire for judgment. Hire for thinking. Hire for someone who can own outcomes, not just execute tasks. Step 6, this is the one everyone skips. Invest in onboarding. Most people hire a VA and expect them to figure it out. They have one onboarding meeting at the beginning of the week. Here's your login, here's your task list, here's the things that I want you to own or do. Good luck. That's not onboarding. Real onboarding takes 2 to 4 weeks of intentional face-to-face, Zoom-to-Zoom investment, communication, walking them through your business, explaining the why behind the how. Not just here's how we do this, but here's why we do it this way. Introducing them to your clients if relevant. Giving them context about your business, your goals, your priorities. Answering their questions without frustration. They're going to have a lot of questions at first. That's not annoying, that's them trying to learn. Welcome the questions in the first few weeks. I recommend in the first at least 2 to 3 weeks to have a 15-minute standing meeting every single day to answer questions. Yes, this takes time up front, but it saves massive time on the back end. A well-onboarded EA can be genuinely independent in 30 days. A poorly onboarded VA will still be asking basic questions in 90 days. The difference is not the VA, it's the onboarding. Step 7, check in before things go wrong. Don't wait until you're frustrated to give feedback. By then, your small issues have become big problems in your mind. Resentment has built up, and the conversation is way harder than it needed to be. Instead, schedule weekly check-ins, at least for the first 90 days. There should be weekly 1-hour check-ins. What's going well? What's confusing? What do you need from me? How can I communicate better? Here's what I've noticed this week. Here's what I'd like done differently. Keep the communication flowing. Most VA relationships that fail because of poor communication, not poor performance. Something small goes wrong. Nobody says anything. It happens again. Still nobody says anything. It builds. Resentment grows. And suddenly it's a big thing, when it could have been fixed with a 5-minute conversation in week 2. Check in early, check in often, give feedback in real time, and invite them to give you feedback too. Is there anything I could do differently that would help you do your job better? It's a great question. You might be the bottleneck and not even know it. Let me recap what we went over. How to hire a VA that actually works out. 1, hire for values and personality alignment, not just skills. Use assessments like DISC, Working Genius, Kolbe to understand yourself and what you need in someone else. 2, define outcomes, not tasks. 3, create the foundation first. Processes, boundaries, templates. 4, start smaller than you think. 5, hire for thinking, not just doing. And 6, invest in real onboarding. 7, check in before things go wrong. If you do these 7 things, you will have a dramatically different experience than most people who hire help. And here's the thing, you don't have to figure this all out alone. If you want help finding the right person, someone whose values and personality actually match yours, someone whose DISC and Working Genius and Kolbe complement how you operate, someone who can think and not just do, that's what my direct-to-hire placement is for. I do the searching. My team, we do the vetting. We run the assessments. I look at the whole picture, not just skills, but who this person actually is and how they work. And we match you with someone who's actually right for you. Not just someone with the right resume, the right fit. And if you're not ready to hire yet, if you know you need to build the foundation first, that's what coaching is for. We get you ready so that when you actually do hire, it works. Links are all in the description for all of this below. If you want more content like this, I send frameworks like this to my email list every single week. Real strategies for CEO parents who want profit and presence, because you can have both. Link is also in the description for that. Thanks for watching. We will see you on the next one.